However you want to do it, man. This is your
No, I've said this is yours. This is all you.
Okay.
We're promoting you.
Oh, gosh.
So here we are, ready to start.
Glad to be here.
Eric Bauer. Is that pronounced right?
Yeah, man, nailed it.
Or what do you like to be called? Any special rap name you got, or stage name?
No.
Writer name? You're a great writer here.
I try. I do my best. No, I don't have any kind of fun names or anything else. I think a lot of people call me EB or Bauer or Eric, but that's pretty much it.
Tell me about this
Gaming paper?
gaming paper off here. Why we got this?
So I'm a big gamer. I play a lot of the D&D and the tabletop games, role-playing games. So
Now don't say it like you just play it like a normal person. You are the expert. Got everything.
I've been doing this I've been playing since I was just a little kid. I was actually just, it was at the Comedy Project. They were asking me about when I went there for my birthday, and they're asking me a lot of questions.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one of the things that came up was, I started playing when I was like 8 years old in the basement of our Episcopal church.
Yeah.
And I took a break a little while after that, when they heard that it was,
Satanistic.
yeah, it was that was it was demonic.
Yeah.
Magically all my books disappeared at one point. My mom still claims it wasn't her who threw them away, but I don't.
Yeah.
So anyway, back in 2009, I got an idea to do these rolls of paper, so 30 inches wide, 12 feet long, just essentially, don't tell anyone, but this is like wrapping paper.
But you have a copyright on squares, right? On paper?
I own any squares on paper, also on any fabric.
On any fabric.
So if you have like a check suit or something like that, that would be give me a nickel.
You're gaining royalties left and right.
No, I just thought this was kind of a cool idea and came out with it, and I went to Gen Con, which is a big convention down in Indianapolis, gaming convention, usually pulls 50, 60,000 people, and we sold just a literal ton of these rolls of paper.
But that's amazing.
And then that became a company, and then I came out with dry erase boards, and we've got some maps and that kind of stuff, pre-printed stuff. Right now I'm doing a Kickstarter for a RPG Essentials kit that has dice trays and initiative trackers, and if you're into D&D, you know what I'm talking about. If not, I sound like I did when I was doing the alien bit there.
Yeah.
All the stuff you need for Dungeons and Dragons. And so I go to Gen Con every year, and I have an online store, sell on Amazon. It's just a fun side hobby. Basically, the profits I make from this send my family and I down to Gen Con every year.
All right.
And we stay and game nonstop for the 4 days of fun.
Heck yeah, yeah.
Yep, it's a ton of fun.
Now, that's how many years have you been since 2000?
2009 is when I came out with it, so it's been 15 years, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Every year, you just go down to that one, or you ever go to other ones? Like
Only one time I went to, there's one called Gamehole Con that's over in Madison, Wisconsin.
Whoa, that sounds like some bad language.
Doesn't it? Gamehole Con?
Yeah, come on now.
And if you go to Gen Con, there's always been a live dungeon adventure called True Dungeon.
Okay.
And I did it I'd never done it before, but I did it with the family probably 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago.
What exactly is live?
You wear like a lanyard that says what character you're playing, and you keep track of your hit points on there, and then you walk through they have it all built out just like a dungeon.
Yeah.
It's just a really cool experience, and if you have to battle anything, you do that by using a shuffleboard.
Okay.
So you push your little coin essentially across, and then it has a drawing of the creature you're fighting, and then there'll be puzzles in it and all kinds of stuff like that. So it was just more fun than I thought. I was like, that's really cool. And so the guy who ran that for years and years, and his name's going to escape me. I've only met him a couple of times. but he started Gamehole Con in Wisconsin, and then they do it there as well now. They have a True Dungeon there, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
So we went there and did True Dungeon 1 year, and then we do it every year at Gen Con. This year, for the first time, I'm going to go to Gary Con, which D&D was invented by two guys, but one of which was Gary Gygax. But his son, Luke, puts on Gary Con, and I'm really looking forward to going to that.
Yeah.
And that one's in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
Okay.
Which is, so Gen Con, which is in Indianapolis, actually started, Gary Gygax started that in Lake Geneva. That's why it's Gen Con, Geneva Convention.
Okay.
So this is sort of a throwback to that. So a lot of like my friends from the RPG world and other folks are going to be there this year. So I'm really looking forward to that next month.
How many people you think usually attend something like that?
He keeps that pretty small on purpose. And I think it's usually like 4,000 or 5,000.
Oh, that's still quite a bit.
4 or 5, yeah. It's a good size convention, but compared to like Gen Con where you have 60,000 people, it's significantly smaller.
Yeah.
But and it's more of a throwback as well because it's Gary Gygax centered. I'm really looking forward to that one.
Heck yeah.
So, and then of course I'm looking forward to Gen Con as well.
Yeah. Have you ever even wanted to, like the big one, Comic Con that's in San Diego or something?
No. So
is that different? Would be different?
It would be, but only that's like about everything that's popular culture, which I love. Everything that's popular culture.
But these are more strictly.
This is Gen Con and Gary Con are much more focused on the role playing side, right?
Okay.
There's some board games, but they'd be like high strategy board games at Gen Con. Gary Con will be 100% tabletop RPG stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
That's really what it'll be dedicated to. So, but Comic Con, I would go to the one here, or maybe like a medium-sized one, Orlando or Chicago or something like that. I don't think I would ever go out to San Diego.
You never did the Comic or the Grand Con or whatever one?
I've never been to the Grand Rapids Comic Con. I have not done that. My son does, and he'll dress up for it. I've done Grand Con, which is more of a gaming convention.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's usually over, what's the end of the summer? Is it Labor Day at the end of the summer? Yeah. Memorial Day's beginning and Labor Day's end. And it's usually over Labor Day.
You're also, speaking of pilots, you are a pilot too.
I am. I'm a licensed private pilot.
How is that going?
It's so much fun.
Have you picked out your plane yet that you want to buy?
Oh, yeah. I've got my eyes on them. Yeah, actually, right now, just flying down to, I work a lot in Chicago, so fly to Chicago. I work in Indiana some and get to fly down there. I'm hoping, so on Thursday, if the weather holds out, I'm going to take my wife. There's a really cool restaurant right on the runway. Well, it's on the tarmac at Jackson Airport.
Okay.
So I'm hoping I can bring her down to
Michigan.
Jackson, Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just grab some breakfast and shoot back home.
That's
So
crazy.
Take a third of the day off and just fly down.
Gained some good points there.
Yeah. And I need to get more. So I'm going for my IFR, which is an instrument rating right now.
What is that?
Essentially, I can fly in clouds, or
okay.
I
You can just
fly
go by
over-
instruments. Is that what it means?
Yeah, if I can't see anything, I can still find my way to where I'm going, and it's a lot of the training for that. A lot of it's just learning how not to be disoriented flying in clouds. It's easy to get disoriented. They put you into, they call it basically disoriented. You're supposed to be at, you'll be pointed up and to the left, right? And then how do you get out of that? So by looking at your instruments, without any visual cues, how do you know which way you're pointed and get yourself back to straight and level?
Okay.
Just by using your instruments, not by using any outside references.
They
So
put
it's
like the
unusual attitudes.
sun visor.
That's what it's called.
Unusual attitudes?
Unusual attitudes. You wear
Altitudes or attitudes?
attitudes.
Attitudes.
Yeah, your attitude is kind of how you're. That's another way to talk about like your attitude indicator is the way that the plane is shifted
I didn't-
in relation to the ground.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not just you got a shit attitude up there.
Yeah.
Although sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when you find yourself pointing straight up.
Holy shit.
Got a bad attitude. So like if you're pointed up, you'll see that your airspeed will be dropping or altitude will be increasing. Some of those kinds of things, and that gives you an immediate cue of what you need to do next to get back down straight and on course.
Okay.
So
now, how do you like tell with the ground coming?
With the ground coming, well, you
Like when you're coming down and
the number one thing is I see, like if you're landing in fog kind of a thing. So there'll be minimums, and it depends on the airport, and it depends on the equipment that you have and that the airport has, on how low you can go before you actually get eyes on the runway. So if you're at, typically it's like 400 feet at a place that has IFR approach. So the at 400 feet, and that's actual ground level, not sea level. If you can't see the runway, you're getting out of there, and you'll either go and fly a pattern until you basically go fly in circles until it clears up a little bit, or you get an alternate airport.
oh geez, yeah.
So, and usually before you fly, they'll make you if you know it's going to be instrument conditions, they'll make you need to make sure you have an alternate all set up that should be clear.
Okay, yeah.
So then you have another place to go to. They try to keep you pretty safe.
Oh yeah. I remember this one time. Yeah, I was coming. It was a big plane though,
Yep.
and I don't know what they could see, but all I remember is just couldn't see anything, and then boom,
Oh wow!
boom, 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 boom,
You
boom.
bounce down.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
my
like,
God.
holy.
Yeah, the least I've heard on those instrument and VNAV type approaches is they'll get down to like 200 before they say you got to go around. But it's supposed to be the same in the big airplanes. 200 feet above the ground is not as much as you think, right?
Yeah,
It is. You feel like you're on top of it.
Yeah.
And if you don't see landing lights, well, you can hightail it out of there and find something else to do for a little bit.
Yeah, that was the only time I had a standing ovation
Oh, no kidding.
after we was done.
My favorite flight, commercial flight, we're flying and terrible turbulence bouncing all over the place. It was a little plane, the one that has the one row on the left and two rows on the right, so the one chair over here, and I was in one of the one chairs, and then two side by side all the way down the right side. So a real small little guy, little commuter, and it felt like we dropped 200 feet. It was probably 10 feet. But it just felt like we had just fallen out of the sky. And the lights went out, and then they came back on.
Yeah.
And the whole airplane was just dead silent. Everyone's just like, waiting for the next one, right? And then all of a sudden, this kid in the back goes, "Do it again!" And everybody started dying laughing. Oh, it was too funny. Yeah, I hope they didn't do it again. They didn't, but that just totally, cut the tension so quick.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Or the one time went with a friend that was for the first time, but then they were cabin pressure doing this, getting everything. But then there was like, I don't know, what do you probably know? I guess it's normal. But all of a sudden you see like this smoke coming, or like this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like, I took a picture of it. Well, I took a picture or video of it, and then I posted it, and then someone ripped me apart. Oh, you don't fly, I can tell, because that's really normal. I'm like, I don't know, I just...
Smoke rolling in?
Yeah, there's like, it seemed normal too. I don't know, it was like a normal, or not like, burning smoke. It was almost
like
a,
steam, or
it
it was letting something off. I don't know. That one doesn't ring a bell, and I fly quite a bit.
Yeah.
Commercial, I have flown quite a bit, but
I said I'd never seen it before, and that's what I was like. And then the guy that was with me, he never flew, so he was like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think I remember this."
I remember landing in Utah, and I was probably 18, 19 years old. And we're landing, and you're getting ready to land. We're just coming in, and I think they put the air brake. Remembering it now, all I remember is then it was probably one of the first times I had flown, and I was really nervous. and I'm looking out the window, and all of a sudden the whole back of the wing is just like gone, right? But I think it's the air brakes come down and kind of, you got flaps, but I don't think it was the flaps. I think it was the air brakes that had kind of opened up. And I remember there were some guys sitting behind me who were a little older than me, and I remember going, "There's a part missing on the wing. Is it supposed to be like that?" And they're like,
Oh my God.
yeah, I'm gonna freak everybody out, right? Oh, yeah. Now it's kind of second nature, and I credit having flown so much with making me feel way comfortable to get out there and do that. And
now, do you fly like every other weekend or a week? Or?
Probably once a week. Try to go and fly. Like I said, I'm going for my IFR rating, so or license, and so I have to get a certain amount of cross country time and just time flying before I can really pursue that much further.
You got to do it a certain amount of time.
No, you got all the time in the world. It's just if I ever, so I want to be able to do this instead of flying commercial as much as I can.
Okay.
I'm a little bit of a control guy and want to just be the guy in, I don't want to put my life in anyone else's hands. I don't like to be the passenger in the car.
Yeah.
So I don't like to be the passenger in the airplane. And so I'd like to get to a point where I feel more comfortable and can do this to go to my business meetings and work stuff and then go visit family or take the family on vacation, those kinds of things.
Heck yeah.
And we're getting there. It's going to be a few years, I'm sure, before I'm...
It takes that, you think, so that long? Because you've been doing it probably at least...
A couple of years for
Couple years
sure.
already.
Yep. I've had my private pilot's license for a little over a year, but then I was learning for probably about a year before that.
Okay.
So, yeah, it'll take a little bit of time. Like, I don't mind flying Jen and I, or a couple of the boys and I'll go up to Mackinac or go do something every once in a while.
Yeah.
But again, it's got to be totally clear.
Yeah.
If I'm going down to Chicago for work, if I go down in the morning, I've got to be pretty certain that it's going to be clear by afternoon or early evening, so I can come home. I have not gotten stuck anywhere yet, but it'll happen.
Yeah.
With IFR, you're not guaranteed. I mean, you go into they call it IMC, Instrument Meteorological Conditions. Going into IMC is not that big of a deal, but if there's severe icing or a thunderstorm, either you have to go way around it, above it or below it, or just take a beat and wait until the next day.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten trapped anywhere, but I'm sure it'll happen.
Now, you rent these? How does that go right now?
Yeah, just rent them. Place in Ionia, Michigan, clear to aviate. Great operation. Very safe planes. They've got a couple of Piper Archers, a Piper Arrow, which is not my favorite airplane.
Okay.
It's got a square wing instead of a tapered wing, so it just tends to land hard.
Yeah, okay.
Have not figured out how to do anything but land hard in it.
Huh.
And then Saratoga, which is probably my favorite one to fly.
Okay.
Those last two have retractable gear, and they're both 200 plus horsepower, so they're pretty fast airplanes.
Okay. Now, what would it like to rent it to go to Mackinac to something like that?
If you're just going for the day, it'd probably be like $300-400.
Okay.
If you're going to stay for a few days, you have to pay a day rate on top of that. I haven't tried that yet. So,
okay.
But probably another, it'd probably be more. Hopefully under
Probably
$1,000
cheaper
if you were there.
Per day if you average it out.
Yeah. Well, not cheaper than driving, but you also get
No, I
there
mean,
an hour,
let's say
hour and a half.
$300 for one day, $500 for 2 days or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, cheaper per day if it's not in the air. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, what would you do, or they do, if you go Brenton and all of a sudden they go, well, you can't fly back? Do they go, well, hey, you can charge
pay a day rate, I'm sure.
You're gonna have to pay,
Well, for that kind of thing, it's like an opportunity loss cost there, right? So they say, hey, we could have rented this to somebody else for $300 to us.
But couldn't you just fairly go back and go, well, no, you can't because no one's flying?
True enough, yeah. If the weather was bad in Ionia, then you could definitely throw that out there. If it's bad between here or, you know, wherever I'm flying in from in Ionia.
Then you're like, oh,
Then
that's you flew over to
Yeah.
Iowa.
But they're really easygoing, nice guys. They taught me how to fly. I can't say enough good things about them.
That's where you took all your lessons there?
You know, I started out in Sparta and then moved over there. I didn't feel as comfortable with the maintenance of the airplanes in Sparta as I did. You know, these guys do whatever it takes. They are perfect. They're not ever trying to save a nickel. The guys in Sparta were just a little less aggressive with their maintenance plan. You had me worried a couple of times where I was like, I just did my inspection and I noticed this. Oh, no one else mentioned it. Okay, well, you know, maybe I don't feel like I could fly. So, and I'm very much all about safety.
Heck
and, you know, I'm not doing this because I have a death wish.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the flying side. I have a ton of fun with it, and just meet nice folks. You know, the guys who've trained me have all been really cool. There's a lot of aviation interest in Grand Rapids with the aviation high school and those kinds of things. It's been a good adventure. It's something I've always wanted to do. I actually started taking lessons when my oldest son, who's 18 now, before my wife was even pregnant. I was taking lessons, and then she got pregnant, and then she was like, "Hey, you think you could stop taking lessons?"
Yeah.
So I took an 18-year break, essentially.
All right,
And I got back to it.
I like how your story where you got your wife, she was with the pilot,
Oh yeah.
then you stole her,
I did. Yeah, she was out on.
and then you ended up becoming a pilot yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was out on a blind date with a pilot at a restaurant, and I had started the Grand Rapids Drinking Club at that point, which was.
Now is that still going?
It's not, but we keep talking about bringing it back.
Oh,
Jen would
right.
really like to have me bring it back. It was really, I lived in Atlanta for 10 years right after the Olympics, so 96 I guess until 2000 something, and about 8 years lived down there. And when I left, when I was there, they had the Wednesday night drinking club, they called it. It was on every first Wednesday of every month. And it was well attended and a nice way to meet people. So basically they throw a party for a different charity every month, and the door money goes to that charity, and whoever comes in, you know, they get their first drink for free, and you know, that's what they get for their door money. So you end up it's essentially drinking for charity.
Yeah.
Which it's good. If you need a reason, that's a good reason. So but it was just to meet people because I hadn't been in Grand Rapids in a long time. So so I started that, and the first one I met my wife. So it was a good thing.
Yeah.
The bartender there, I forget his name. Darn it! I always remember his name. Nice kid. Anyway, he.
Say it and I'll beep it out so it'll look like you knew him, but then you're trying to protect his identity.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't think of it. Anyway, Jen knew him as well, and she's like, "What's going on? Why are there so many people here?" And he goes, "It's the Grand Rapids Drinking Club. You got to meet Eric," and then brought me over, and that's how we met.
Yeah.
And then when the pilot went to use the restroom, I slid back in and said, "Well, let me get your phone number, and I'll give you a call." She wanted to have an event for a charity she was working for. So,
all right, yeah, that was.
So we did. I think not the next one, but the one after that we did for Mackenzie's Animal Sanctuary. So,
all right, yeah.
Dog rescue out in Lake Odessa.
Yeah. Now, what was your drink of choice? What kind of drinker are you?
Nowadays, I'm sort of a bourbon, scotch drinker for the most part.
One bourbon, one scotch, and one beer?
On occasion. I don't drink that much beer anymore. So there was a stint there where I drank a lot of Guinness. I had a couple of British buddies, and it seems like that's all we did was drink Guinness. But then before that, like during that the time when I was going to the drinking club, I was always Captain Morgan and Coke.
Okay,
Always.
That's my drink.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was always mine. I think
Captain Diet Coke, actually.
Captain Diet's great. Yeah,
with the double lime.
Oh gosh.
Just to be an asshole.
Holy cow. Shaken. Not sure. The double lime. Can I get 2 limes?
2 limes.
You got to say it right. You do.
Because one you squeeze, and the other one you just keep on the side. See?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a trick there.
Well, that's a good trick. What do you do with it on the side? Just for looks.
Just yeah.
You just look badass.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it.
But I'm not really a drinker at all nowadays. But
No, I used to drink a lot more. You know, and that's an aside, but when everything changes when you have kids, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have that. We had an Archer, my oldest, and I remember picking him up in the middle of the night because he's crying, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't ever want to be, out of sorts when I pick him up to take care of him. When I need to be available to him, I can't be impaired. Right?
Yeah.
So then I was going through in my head, and I'm like, well, when won't I need to be available to him?
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah. So it basically totally kiboshed my party days, right? And now it's gotten to a point where
now he's 18.
He's 18. I've got 14 through 18-year-olds. They don't need me all that much, and even if they do, they don't admit it, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So I've been able to get back into, but I've done it in a way where I drink for enjoyment, and I have it rather than just getting blotto. It's a lot more fun now.
Not doing it for charity anymore. You're doing it for your charity.
There
Yourself.
you go, for me, yeah. But and maybe we get back to the charity thing. But you go to we went to. Have you been to the Drip Drop before?
Never even heard of it.
It's where Butcher's Union is.
I've heard of that now.
It's like right across the street. It's on Bridge.
Okay.
So just over.
Okay,
over the bridge on the west side. And
no,
then,
I haven't heard.
Bounce across. It's almost right across the street from Butcher's Union, and it's like tiny little place and really cool. It's a lot like Long Road, I would say.
Okay,
really very fancy
but I haven't even been there,
cocktails.
though.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Super fancy, high end.
Okay.
It's a $15 cocktail.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, when Jen and I go, we split one because I can't stomach that.
Yeah.
So but I'll be like, but I want to try it, and and they do so many different things. And I've enjoyed going out and experiencing those kinds of drinks where it's more than just a quick. Don't get me wrong, I love a Captain and Coke or a Captain and Diet, but it's got the egg froth in it, and it's got the all the shit going on. And you watch the dude go through 15 gyrations before and then there's your drink.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy cow, that's a fancy cocktail. But it adds an experience level to it, right?
Yeah.
Or the smoked old fashions. Those are another favorite where they open up whatever and you're like, get your drink out of a box.
Yeah.
Smoke. It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
So I know it's a little
Over the top,
a little over the top, but it makes it fun.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm only going to have one or two. I might as well enjoy them. Yeah, I've got some stories where like at a bar and all of a sudden like your stomach just turns and you're like, it's time.
Yeah.
And you go booking in and nope, not doing it there. There's no door.
Yeah,
right?
that was the thing. Where there's no door.
Yeah, there's no way. And then I've talked my way into places to use their bathrooms. I mean, it can be brutal.
Yeah,
That's no good. I remember, so when I was younger, I used to always get told I looked like Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I see it. I do, yeah.
And so this is a funny one. I'm getting a ride downtown. I'm in the back of a taxi cab, living in Atlanta. I think my car was broken or something, so I was in this cab going downtown. And I all of a sudden had to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, sir, you're going to have to stop. Just let me out right here, right? And so he lets me out. I pay him. And I have to run back. If you've ever been to Atlanta, Peachtree is like this big main thoroughfare that runs all through the city, but it's like 6 lanes, right?
Uh-huh.
So I see that there's a Jamaican restaurant on the opposite side of the street, and I have to run across 6 lanes of traffic to get there. So and I am running with my legs crossed essentially, right? So I'm booking across, and this car just locks up their brakes. And the guy puts down his window and he goes, "Michael J. Fox!" And I went, "Yep." I'm going. I'm like, "Oh God, I'm gonna crap my pants." Oh, it was just funny.
Oh.
Yep, that's me. Poor Michael J. Fox. Someone thought he was pooping in Atlanta.
Probably told everybody, "I'm gonna hit you, Michael J. Fox."
He was this close.
Yeah.
He said he had to crap.
Oh man. So, and then you're a writer for sketches. I'm honored to be in that.
You did a great job.
Oh, it was a little shaky at your little thing,
at
but
the birthday party. Wow, you just learned it.
Yeah.
Literally 2 days later, you absolutely killed it at
you're too
the
kind.
Sketch Fest. So, if you ever get a chance, anyone watching, you should go to the Comedy Project, throw your birthday party there.
that was
had a great
your
time.
52nd.
My 52nd. It's a very important birthday.
See, 52. That was
I thought that was why you went with 52.
yeah. That's in honor of you.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Speaking, just a funny story. I'm down in Atlanta, and a good friend of mine, Gina, and her husband, I think they were engaged at the time, were having dinner. And you know how it's a learning experience, right? So she said, "Eric, how much would you say I weigh?"
Mhm.
You don't answer that
That's a
question,
loaded
right?
question.
There's no right answer. So anyway, but in my head, I thought, my sister weighs 125 pounds. I know that because I know my sister, and we talk about such things. And and Gina's a little bit bigger than she's a little bit taller and a little bit broader shouldered than my little sister. So I said, 138. And I don't know that I've ever been punched so hard in my life.
Really?
Yeah. And I said, "Was I that far off?" And she goes, "No, you guessed it." So you live and you learn, right? You don't talk about a lady's weight or a lady's age. Even if she asks, just go, "I would have no idea. I don't know, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
Yeah.
8 pounds 3 ounces. That's what I'm going to go." Do you mean to birth? I won't answer those questions.
Yeah.
So my first class let's get back to that, at
Okay.
Comedy Project, was doing stand-up. And I really fell in love with the writing. And
What got you really to go in to want to do it though?
to take the class?
What was the step?
That's a good question. To do that one, my son had taken a bunch of classes at Civic, and I was looking for a sketch or comedy class, a bunch of acting classes and improv classes, and even a sketch writing class. He'd probably taken, my youngest had probably taken 3 or 4 classes, maybe even 5 or 6. They have a thing called 10 for All, where it's a play that they put on, and you submit a script, and they review it, and then the top 3 from each category, one of which being kids, get read like a cold reading on the stage. Excuse me.
Bless you.
And he was in cold reading. His script got chosen. Anyway, so super talented kid, but I was looking for more beyond what he was doing there. And so I searched all these different places, and I saw the Comedy Project.
Bless you.
Thank you. And
That's it though. I'm not getting any more.
no more bless yous, damn it.
My wife says that.
Yeah.
If I sneeze more than 3 times, I get yelled at. I'm like, I don't know why I'm getting yelled at for something I can't control.
The only time is if I'm driving. I don't want to sneeze more than 3 because your eyes closed, right? I mean, you can't. It's not like you're going to be driving well, right? So if it's like a sneezing attack, there's nothing worse.
Yeah.
But so I'm looking for classes. I'm searching all over. I've got a friend of mine from high school who's big in the acting circles here. So I was asking her about it, and she's like, "I don't do anything with kids." And then I dropped a note to Joe at the Comedy Project. At the time, I didn't know I was talking to Joe, but I said, "Hey, you guys have anything for kids?" And he goes, "Not right now, but we might." But I was checking out the classes, and I'm like, "Ooh, stand-up comedy class.
Yeah.
It's not too expensive. It looks fun. I'll give it a shot." So that's what brought me in for that one.
Okay.
And I had too much fun. I liked the stand-up side of it. I loved the writing side of it. but then I did improv. I couldn't get into stand-up too because it was on my D&D night.
Yeah.
So I did improv. That's where you and I met.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that. The reason I did that one, I told this in improv in the class, was because two of my buddies,
Yeah, I remember that.
Thea and Steve, were both like, we're doing it. Let's the three of us go in. And day comes around and I'm like, guys, are you going? And they're like, oh yeah, we never signed up. Which turned out great, because what a great group of friends we made.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, yeah, I just had a ton of fun.
And then you went to sketch. You're like, holy cow!
I did
This
improv
is...
1 and 2 with you, and then I jumped over to sketch. Yeah,
Mhm.
and just had a great time writing. Sketches are even more fun than stand-up stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It just I don't know if it's easier. It's easier for me to write dialogue rather than just like jokes, or tell a story that has a lot of funny in it. You know, it's you can use 2 people to do it, and you have more characters to play
Mhm.
with.
You can go different directions, I would say. And,
Right. Yeah. You can do a couple different things, and it's more collaborative. Like you can, as you're reading it with somebody, or then you can be like. And I just had this happen when we went out to dinner on Saturday, and I was telling Joe and Kristen from the Comedy Project about my latest sketch, and she's like, "What if it was his newspaper?" And I'm like, "Oh, you just made it way funnier," It was just what a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just amazing how a little tweak like that. Same thing with stand-up to a degree.
Yeah.
But where it's supposed to be collaborative, kind of. Like you're working with a group of actors, and they make it funnier.
Yep. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
That's
So
right.
I've enjoyed all of those, but I'm impressed with you jumping up and doing all this stand-up. I have not done any open mics. I did my birthday party for 3 minutes, right? But but I haven't done anything that's like out in front of people except for the showcase for the class and my birthday.
Yeah.
And I want to write something and go do that. After watching you hop up and do it, and you're doing it all over town.
Every place is, I'd say, different. You just never know what's the atmosphere, or who's going to be there, or who's going to be listening, who's not.
Are there some places where your style has done really well?
My stuff can be good at one place later in the set,
Okay.
but
Interesting.
if I'm in the beginning of the set,
If you're opening,
when there's food first being delivered,
people aren't listening necessarily.
no, they're
Same
trying to
place.
eat, and then
Yeah.
hearing my act.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, they're like, "Ugh."
I don't want to hear about rat and that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, so name a place. Which one was the best? Or did you kill the best, regardless of time?
I would say just offhand, this one place, just because it was like one of my first ones. So
No kidding.
But it was down in Kalamazoo.
Okay, I've not been. I've only done improv 1 and improv 2, and those are all the games and all of that stuff. That stuff was easy. The long form,
Yeah, that's where I was.
a little intimidating, and it's got rules and things you have to do and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But even at my birthday party, we were there when Gary, my buddy Gary, came, did the rap battle one. That one where you're the last person.
Yeah.
2 people will say, well, when you call someone up from the audience, they just stand there and do the last word, right? You're not supposed to participate. Well, Gary had a couple of cocktails in him, so he's like,
Yeah. Oh, he stole the show.
oh, he did.
Yeah.
He jumps out there and he started just like doing like actually rapping, and we're like. And Joe goes, hundreds of times we've done this. That's never happened.
Yeah.
So a week later, I run into Gary, and I was like, "Yeah, man, that was crazy." And my kids were just like, "Gary's wild," And Gary goes, "The guy in the front was hogging it." It just made me so happy. I'm like, he was total ball hog.
Taking away your life right there. Yeah.
Yeah, you needed to hop in earlier.
Yeah.
Oh god, that just cracked me up. We're like, what are you doing? You should try writing some sketches. It's fun. That's a fun class. And that was another one where, the teachers we've had there. Some of them were just a huge impact. why am I blanking on who was our improv one?
Shane
was such a positive.
Were you there
force.
for Laura?
Laura was good.
I liked her.
Even just having John in our group,
Yeah.
he was so much help and so just what a great attitude.
I knew John, something was up when he tried to act like he was
just regular old guy.
Yeah, regular old guy.
But I mean, every time he'd be like, "All right, guys, we're going," and I'm like, "John's excited, man. I get excited." I had so much fun with him, and then of course Joe. I think we're just lucky to have Joe as a teacher. You know, he just does such a great job, and he gets comedy, and it comes naturally to him. So it's really fun learning from those guys. We've got some crazy talent there.
Yeah.
I was just that fly on the wall, the Dana Carvey, David Spade thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to it the other day. I'm driving along, and they were saying that you could send in any impersonations. What do you call it?
Impression?
What's that?
Impression?
Impression. Thank you. Jeez, that was a hard word to come up with. You can send your impressions in and like videotape them, and they will critique them and tell you how you're doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, Keely at Comedy Project doing her Jennifer whoever Coolidge.
Yeah.
Oh my God, she's got to send it in. So I got her the email address, and I'm like, send it in to these guys. She's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So like I said, we're surrounded by a lot of talented people. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, she is always hilarious. Her and that Gwen. You ever seen her?
Probably.
They're always like team.
Yeah. They're all very funny.
Plans for 2004, 2025. No, 15.
Like 2004 to 2015. I'm thinking early fatherhood.
Yeah.
Be good. No, I don't know. This year and next, I would say I'd like to see more of my sketches performed. I'd like to write some more sketches.
How many sketches do you think you got written?
Dozen plus, at least 12, maybe like 15. I've been trying to do one every week, but I don't have a good idea every week. I have some that I start and they kind of sputter out.
Do you know you're writing how long this sketch will be, where you go, okay, you're done? Like you don't want to keep writing and writing.
Right. Yeah, you got to tie it up somewhere.
Yeah.
And usually I like
a couple pages or
like
so?
4 to 6 minutes. So that'd be like 4 to 6 pages.
Okay.
You don't want to really go any further than that, and you can go shorter.
Yeah.
It's just remember there's going to be like a scene change, maybe a costume change, those kinds of things in between, right?
Yeah.
So if you're getting all of that together, you want to do that for 2 minutes. It better be a damn funny 2 minutes in my head, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's 6 minutes, well, you put in 6 minutes, you got time to kind of build it up, get some laughs on the way, really hit it, and then close it out with a really funny line, right? That's the way I would look at it. 4 to 6 minutes is perfect. 3's not bad. 1 to 2, it better just kill. That's my thought. And usually, I can whip them out like pretty quick. Like in a couple of hours, I can write a.
You try and like stick with
sketch.
a 2-person, 3-person scene, or
no, not necessarily. Like 4 or less is always my target.
Okay.
Because it's hard to find people who want to,
That would Joe
there's
kind of
12
thought.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as doing it on a stage, you got to kind of stay away from that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. How do you figure out what kind of writing, where you go on?
Yeah, it's tough. Like I've got one, the chicken or the burger commercial, where there's like 3 different scenes, but each one is only 2 or 3 people. So maybe you could pull it off on a stage. I'd like to try. But.
Where you got the other one, that was the fast food worker. He didn't take pay, but he got to drive a Lamborghini or something.
Oh yeah, I totally rewrote that one. Okay. It no longer is the fast food.
Okay.
No, you know what? I was sitting there and I could not find the funny in that one like consecutively, right? I was just like, come on, man. So what I ended up doing was instead of his pay became a different like level of car. So the story was he gets a car as his compensation.
Yeah.
But he can get $100,000 plus a car, but it's going to be a Kia Soul. And then or you could take no money and you get a Lamborghini. It's like done.
So, but then I was like, you know what? You could even go further and say, now he's got, you can drive a Lamborghini, but you also have to give us your kidney. And so I was thinking, even better. How about the guy gets the job, but the whole job is you're just available for us to harvest your organs, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what do you use my organs for? And he's like, well, it's to extend our executives' lives unnaturally.
Yeah.
You know, so they're you know, the guy who's trying to hire him he's like, oh my gosh, is that how you lost your eye? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I thought you just wore that eye patch to look cool. He goes, I do. But I also don't have an eye, you know. And so just to have some fun with it, and then and he's only got like 3 fingers. So he's like, well, and you can invite your friends and family to work for us too.
Yeah.
But if you ever leave the company, we're going to have to take those organs back. He's like, well, how do you do that? He goes, mostly painlessly. Mostly. You know? He's like, this is a third-hand lung that I've got. You know. Anyway, so I thought that one would be kind of fun. Yeah. And then the adult diapers one, I've got a big kick out of it. That's going to be a lot of fun too.
Heck
So,
yeah.
I'd like to see all of these perform.
Now you only did the one level?
I did sketch 1, yeah,
Okay.
and sketch 2. I signed up for it, but there weren't enough people in it, so I'm really waiting for it to. Hopefully, it comes around again soon.
Yeah.
And then Joe mentioned on Friday, Jen and I went to the show. Saturday, Jen and I went to the show, and he mentioned they might be doing some sort of a sketch night where they do all sketch, which I think would be really cool.
Heck yeah.
I'd like to go see that, and I see some of my shit before.
Yeah, I think that was pretty well received when they had all the sketch for the con, you know.
You know, so I think, like with Com, you get a lot of people there because a lot of the comedians and the improv folks and sketch folks bring friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think sketch, of all of them, probably brings the most because in that 5-minute set, you might have 5 people and a writer, or 4 people and a writer.
Mm-hmm.
If each of those people bring 2 people, now you're filling the place up, right?
Yeah,
so, so just from even if you're not funny, you're still going to get a nice big crowd.
Yeah.
I think that sketch lends itself to filling up the space, and filling up the space lends itself to making everybody funnier.
Yeah.
With
with stand-up, I'd say people are just coming there for themselves. You
Right.
know? It's hard to even get people to come for stand-up.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I've seen your stuff, or, you know.
Yeah.
But
I've seen
when
it
someone
18
has a
times.
sketch,
Yeah.
like you said, you got more people, and then other people, oh, what? You've been talking about this for... So they want to, you know...
Yeah.
There's no other opportunities to see it.
And I get so obsessive about my sketch. Like, it's so funny. Like, my poor wife, right? I'm like, honey, I changed 4 words. Tell me if it's funnier. You know, and I reread the whole fucking thing to her, and she's like, yeah, it's hilarious. Stop. I'm like, I changed from A to the. Is that better? Is that roll better?
Or...
So, yeah, it's funny.
Then you gonna do thought about improv again, or do that, or
I'd rather do stand-up or sketch.
Okay.
So I'd like to take stand-up to, again, you're inspiring me to get up and get in front of people.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things where I wanna start doing it. I'm just not quite ready yet, and I haven't written anything new to go yet.
Yeah.
I could do my last one.
Yeah. I would be killing that. That
Which was fun.
just totally hilarious. And then the way you end it too is like
That
just perfect.
It's kind of a cheap laugh at the end.
It's
there,
perfect,
but I like
though.
it.
Yeah.
And then so maybe that one. Yeah, I should probably try that. And then
that's what Joe says. Really, you gotta hone in your
to
routine.
know where the laughs are and work those
and then
harder.
if you're always trying to do new stuff,
Yeah,
that
that's
can
right.
be a problem too.
Well, I think with sketch, that's tougher because when someone sees a 5-minute sketch, do they really want to watch it again? And will you get the same impact out of the funny?
Yeah.
So are you doing it for them or are you doing it for you? I guess becomes the question with stand-up and sketch is, you've got to be doing it for yourself to a degree so that you're figuring out your timing and where the laughs are and there's God knows, and I don't know if it happens to you, Jason, but I'll say something that I mean totally seriously.
Yeah.
And it gets a hell of a laugh.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, I can use that.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So I think that getting out there and saying the jokes or saying it's almost scripted. I mean, you hate to think of stand-ups like that, but that really is what it is, right?
Yeah.
You work through that script, you're going to find stuff that you didn't expect to get as big a laugh.
Mhm.
It does,
Mhm.
and then you twist it so it gets a bigger laugh,
Mhm.
and then get rid of the shit that,
Yeah.
I thought was funny.
Yeah.
And some of that was sketch,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I look at sketch and I go, well, maybe if we delivered it this way, maybe if we delivered it that way,
Mhm.
right? And so some of it's just tweaking it. But
Mhm.
anyway,
The thing is just getting out, really.
it's the same with flying.
Yeah.
If I like I hadn't flown out of Grand Rapids before solo.
Mhm.
I can fly out of Ionia, Sparta, any non-towered airport is super easy, right?
Okay.
As soon as you go to a towered airport, you've got to talk to somebody. At a non-towered airport, if you didn't want to talk to anybody, you just drive out there, take off, and off you go.
Okay.
Most people are courteous and they go, hey, other traffic, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then you drive out and then you go, hey, other traffic, I'm taking off. And then so everyone knows what you have going on and if you're staying in the pattern or flying out. And when you're coming back in, you go, hey, other traffic, I'm coming in.
Yeah.
Just to see if they're anywhere near you. Not everybody has radar and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
They know
yeah.
where everybody is around. So but with air traffic control involved, you've got to talk to the tower to get clearance. You've got to talk to the ground control to be able to drive out there. You go back, or you got to talk to clearance to get clearance. You got to talk to the ground control to get out there. You got to talk to the tower to take off. Then you immediately, as you're zooming out, you're just trying to stay straight and level. You now switch to this frequency and tell them you're with him. Okay. Hi, air traffic control. I'm at 1,200 feet, and I'm going to 4,000 feet, and I'm with you. And they're like, okay, we got you. And so you're chattering the whole time, and it was a little intimidating.
Yeah.
After learning at a field that didn't have a tower, and I really didn't have to talk to anybody. I was just
Yeah.
being nice.
Yeah.
To having to, and if you screw it up, these guys aren't necessarily. I mean, this is their job, and they take it very seriously.
Yeah. Life's on the line here.
Yeah, so you want to do it right. So I did that with my instructor probably 50 times
All right. Yeah.
before I went, you know what, I'm going on my own.
Yeah.
And comedy's got to be, stand-up's got to be similar.
Yeah.
Once you do it a few times and you're out in front of people and
Yeah.
and you bomb once or twice,
Yeah.
right? Then what's the worst thing? That was the worst thing that could happen.
That's the worst thing. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that wasn't bad,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So it's I just need to get out and do it. You're exactly right.
Yeah, just sign up and then just got that date down. All right, we're taking off that
And you
day.
just sweat balls until then.
Yeah. I actually now, because then that's weird too. Where at first, I'm always like the night before thinking, okay,
Yeah.
I want to change this up, and so you're just thinking and thinking, but then
But just memorizing the lines. Like for my birthday party, I had
Yeah.
those lines memorized, but I would lay in bed and I'd run them through my head as I'm falling asleep. And then, luckily, they weren't that funny, so I would just fall right asleep. but that's how it is, right? So it becomes you become a little obsessed about it, especially knowing you're going to be up in front of some people
yeah.
rolling this out there.
But after now, I feel it's just like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then
Yeah. Oh man, trying to remember what my son. They always laugh that I have too many hobbies, right? Between D&D and flying and comedy, and So my son was. He made a joke that I need to learn the drums, and then I can play in an old man cover band.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need another hobby.
That's
like,
another one. Huh?
Yeah.
See, that's what's weird about like musicians versus comedy or sketches, like you said. Or
You play the same fucking thing over and over.
they do the same thing, but
Yeah.
then jokes, you can't do the jokes, but
Right. Yeah. You've got to be re-upping it all the time.
Yeah.
Same thing with like sketches. I mean, you look at Saturday Night Live. When was the last time you saw that? I mean, you might see a continuation,
Yeah.
or a different like
But never the word
not
for
the
word.
same thing. Yeah. No, you got to go to YouTube for that.
Yeah,
But yeah, you go to some of the bands that just hate singing their old songs.
Yeah.
Warren Zevon.
Yeah.
Werewolves of London was a joke, right, for him. It was, you asked him to play that now, he'd probably punch you in the eye.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's still alive or not. There was some guy who wrote a song like that, and it's been around forever. He was sort of a one-hit wonder, and he goes, if you put anything out there, if you write it and put it out there, you make sure you love it enough that if you're playing it for the next 30 years, you're okay with that, because, that's what it's going to be, man.
People are going to want to hear it. Close her out.
Over and over and over.
Yeah.
But not us, no. We can't tell the same jokes twice.
No.
It was the same one. Yeah, jackass. Although we went to go see a comedian, my son and I went to go to the Bob, and I'd never heard of this young lady. She was hilarious, but someone in the crowd, she was like, I don't do my old material, so if you came here expecting to see my Netflix jokes, you're not going to see them here. I don't do that. Here's my new jokes, and they were okay. But this woman in the crowd was like, tell the raccoon one!
Yeah.
Just nonstop yelling at this poor woman. And she's like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
Tell the raccoon one! I can't say it any more politely than you're not the boss of me.
Yeah.
And oh my God, it was so funny.
But then, what's his name? I don't want to cut you off. What's his
No,
name?
you're fine. Go ahead.
The Gaffigan.
Yeah, Jim Gaffigan.
But he does a routine that people with the Hot Pockets.
Oh, yeah.
He always does that same routine.
He does. He
But
always
people
gets back
love
to
to
Hot
hear
Pockets.
that. So it's weird how he can get away with that, or certain other comics too. Like Andrew
they
Dice
have their
Clay,
things.
when he did his nursery rhymes.
His was always in there, yeah.
So it was weird how some are allowed to get away with it.
Yeah, and if you have a classic to pull it back, I mean, at a show, I get it, right? You're touring.
Yeah.
And we went to go see Tater Salad with Ron White.
Yeah.
And he did his album word for word, right, or his last Netflix or whatever. And all I remember, this was years ago, but right in front of us was a group of just wasted college kids who knew every word.
Yeah.
And were talking over him the whole time.
Yeah.
It was the worst show ever.
Yeah.
I came to see him, guys. Oh, it sucked. We were also up in the nosebleeds at the Boss, I think. It was ridiculous, but you could hardly hear the guy. And we went to the Bahamas and with my wife's family, and I saw that, and Damon Wayans was shooting My Wife and Kids down there at the time, right? So he decided he was going to open or be at this comedy club that was down there. So I'm like, holy shit, let me see if I can get tickets. And I was able to swing some tickets, and so it ended up being my brother-in-law, my wife, my mother-in-law, and me. And he's on My Wife and Kids. I've only seen him in movies, really. Haven't really seen him and on TV. I've not really seen his stand-up stuff. And I'll never forget. He goes, and my dream job is to be a gynecologist. and I'm thinking to myself, you know what would be awesome? Well, Miss Halle Berry. and I'm like, my mother-in-law is here with me, right? And I'm like, so I look over at her, and she is dying laughing. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Either she didn't get it. I don't think she knew what was going on, but everyone's dying laughing. So she's just like, ah. But I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel comfortable laughing at this.
Yeah.
So, that was a funny one. That's one of those where I'm like, I had no idea he was as filthy a comedian as he is.
Yeah.
It was pretty wild.
Or what's his name? Regan?
Brian Regan?
Brian Regan.
Yeah, he's pretty clean.
Yeah, he's all clean.
We got to go see him in Holland last time he was here.
Okay.
And he was pretty funny and very clean. It was great. Have you watched any of Loudermilk?
That's with the guy from The Office Space.
Yeah.
I want to always watch that, but yeah,
Regan's in it, and he's got a very understated, funny character.
Okay, is that the one where he's like an alcoholic,
recovering alcoholic?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that was kind of weird seeing him because
he doesn't look like himself. Yeah.
Because he's more like a serious role then too.
It is
It's part. I guess
it's funny for sure, but he plays a a recovering alcoholic, but he's kind of plays a totally different person than Brian Regan.
Yeah, yeah,
which is
definitely.
kind of fun. He's constantly talking about his van. He loves his van.
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of like half his shtick in the
Okay.
show. But anyway, if you like Brian Regan, that's a good one.
Well, all right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Good to see you, buddy.
All right. Thanks for having me.
No, hey, my pleasure, honor.
I'm gonna go vote.
What's now?
I gotta go, gonna grab Archer, he just turned 18, so I'm gonna take him to go vote for the first time.
Ooh. Hey, what?
Primary day.
Will it even end?